him, I couldn't stand him. I've always hated his guts. Fucking bitch. Hey, yo, Dre, this does sound like some vintage shit, though. Fuck it, let's make him harken back to the days when all that mattered was Dre and Marshall Mathers. No breaks, just Florida gas because they are talking crap like we're ancient.
What's going on, y'all? It's Coffee back with some updates, man. And this Eminem track is like, yo, what's this? It's Brandon put out there as a new snippet. It sounds like M's getting at someone. He's like, yo, Dre, all right, looks all official. We're hearing this is a fake, man. I'm so sick of this AI-ish, man. I'm not feeling it at all, man. I'm not rocking with the AI, man. I've been said a long time ago, man. John Connor, right? Terminator, we seen Skynet, the way that goes, like fuck the machines and all that, man. I mean, it's cool to have these electronics and devices and whatnot, man, but I don't want them mimicking humans, man. That's how I feel, but that's a fake. Comment and let me know if you knew that was a fake already or if it sounded official to you or not, man. But you see, in regards to the Death of Slim Shady album, is being considered for Album of the Year by Rap TV. Now, Rap TV, I don't know, right? Is that a prestigious award? I don't know. We know the Grammys are coming up. Even a lot will argue that like, the Grammys ain't about ish. They've never really respected hip hop, right? From day one. And we remember what happened way back with the whole heist. Wasn't that so crazy? They literally heisted the Grammy from Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City, and gave it to Macklemore with the album The Heist. And then Macklemore's like, yo, K-Dot, this is yours, and put the text out there and everything. And a lot of people was thinking there could be a Heist 2.0 this year with Rap Song of the Year, which has to be They Not Like Us. And there's that one goofy dude who's talking about he's not even really a rapper and all that. I forget his name, man. And to keep it a buck, the $1 Million Baby-ish, I don't even really care to remember dude's name, man. But the point is, with all these rap lists, these awards, this, that, and the third, what do they really mean? Do you really respect them? I don't know, but you see the fans are like pushing for people to vote as it's one of the nominations. Tyler, the Creator's also on there. Future and Metro Boomin's project, We Don't Trust You. Vultures 1, Ye and Ty Dolla $ign, American Dream, 21 Savage, Death of Slim Shady, Eminem, and Don Toliver, Hardstone Psycho. So let me know what you think about that. If you think it's an award-winning worthy album, if Eminem still got it. The album came in at like #1, right? And it hit the charts. I don't know if it premiered at 1, but it made it to the #1 slot. I think it premiered at 1 and, you know, slipped down the charts a little bit, came back up, went down. But what's going on now, what's notable and hitting the news is it was released on vinyl. So the numbers are going up, man. And vinyl's so dope, man. Hell, I miss physical CDs. I mean, streaming's cool and all that, but to hold something and it's real, right? The physical CD with the pamphlet, you pull it out, you look at the artwork, what upcoming projects are on the way. You know what I mean? It's just different. But the vinyl got the numbers going back up. But this bunk ass AI, man, don't fall for it. I've seen a Wheezy AI track a couple years ago, man. I'm not with it. You know what I mean? Again, fuck all that. End up like Terminator, Skynet in this bitch, right? But I want to get to the news now that I really wanted to get to, you know, in regards to this video with this Young Thug plea. I've continually been like, man, what made Thug a plea out? Why would he do this? And we look at the stipulations of his probation and, you know, he's on the hook for 15 years. And if he violates, he could do 20. I've been seeing some people talking about if he does 3 years, keeps his nose clean, he could be a free man, right? But many have thought, man, this has got to be a setup, you know, and I just couldn't understand it and still really don't why he didn't just rock with the trial if he came this far, you know. Like, I felt a mistrial had to happen at some point as well with all the BS that went down. But people, this really is sounding like it could be a setup, man. As you see, the New York Times is even taking notice, man. Yale criminal justice scholars are looking into this plea bargain and saying this is some different type ish. This whole case, the plea bargain, everything, and check it, right? Banned from the ATL, the challenge of Young Thug's unique probation The rapper was released from jail last week after a surprise guilty plea for 15 years. A set of strict requirements will govern his life in music. And I'm sure y'all already seen, most of them, right? They're very strict, but what they're pointing out here, like, again, banned from Metro Atlanta, can't promote any gang-ish. Has to do 2 performances or whatever. To me, keeps sounding like the Tipster 2.0 vibes, you know what I mean? Promoting anti-gang stuff. Like, the only people he can affiliate with, he can't affiliate with any gang members or on any co-defendants. Nothing like that except for Funk, because that's his blood brother, and then Gunna, which is a whole nother question. Did he forgive Gunna? Is this just a money play? What's the deal, right? But what a lot of legal analysts and, like I said, Yale scholars are saying when they're looking at this plea bargain, because probation period is hard. I've pointed this out in other videos. I've seen people try to walk the straight and narrow and put an effort in Fluck Up. And check it out, man. They're saying this plea is so vague and they haven't really seen anything like it, right? And the way this happened too, there's some more answers to that, because I was like, what made him plea out? Why, right? And when the third judge took over, she was basically saying all this nonsense and bullish has to stop. We've seen her scream at prosecutors, call them out for basically being corrupt sleazeballs. Like, you're doing this on purpose. I don't want to say it, but you keep doing it. It's got to be what it is. You sleazy McGreasy grindball, right? But something that I didn't know is that the way that this sentence went was the judge's discretion, because when the judge took over, she did say, hey, y'all two start negotiating, both sides, the prosecutor and the defense, like, let's figure something out. And they couldn't come to terms. So they just came up with, you'll plea out and the judge will decide, the judge in the case, who was given full discretion to decide on a punishment because Mr. Williams' lawyers and prosecutors could not agree on a sentence. Even if he pleaded guilty, they decided, again, time served, 15 years on probation with an additional 20 hanging over his head if he violates. Now, check this out. This is where it gets tricky, right? It's so vague. And, people are saying Thugger's got to be careful, right? Because of it, right? The person doesn't have a lot of leverage. Oh, no, this is the Yale scholar, right? They said you typically don't see these kind of plea bargains in cases like this or probation. So this is kind of like a super charged probation is the way they referenced it. And they said, basically because of this, you don't really have any leverage, especially since it was at the judge's discretion and the fact that it was a RICO case. And this is the quote: the person doesn't have a lot of leverage and they chose to subject themselves to conditions that make them very vulnerable to incarceration going forward. And, Thug waived his Fourth Amendment rights. So at any times, and this is typically with probation, but it's just got to be reiterated, his person can be searched, his residence, his vehicles, and his electronics can be monitored, right? So any reference to something about a gang, anything like that, or a code D, someone he's not supposed to, bam, that could be a violation. And, they said this invites enormous policing powers during these 15 years. That is a very significant decision to give up those rights. It's not uncommon to see that in the probation context, but it just shows how people on probation have deeply limited freedom compared to other people. Now, check it out. The attorney, Brian Steele, who, there's this, I think is going to go down in the books as like a piece of art. As you see, someone already made it into art. Brian Steele and Young Thug bumping fists in court, right? This dude, they tried to take him off the case from the beginning, saying it was a conflict of interest. He said, I'll fight till every drop of blood is gone out my body to free this man. You know what I mean? Like, he really put it all on the line for Thug. And no question, he got paid handsomely, I'm sure, but he cared about his client. But check this out. This was wild to me. Brian Steele even said after the sentencing that he would have preferred to to hold out for a jury verdict, but that the much delayed trial, already the longest in Georgia history, was holding this man hostage. And peep this, Thug, we know, had rejected a plea deal before. That plea deal also would have let him out of custody. They would have a tether around him so tight that it's unconscionable. So as me, myself, and comment if you feel the same way, where you were like me, where you were just so shocked. Why would Thugger do this? Why would he take this deal when he came this far? It just doesn't really make sense. His attorney even says the same thing. But basically, he said it got to the point that he felt like his client was being held hostage. Now, back to talking about the probation. This is what's wild, too. Another attorney, right? Fulton County Judge Paige Reese Whitaker, that's the third judge that came with all these strict rules, right? Raising concerns that even performing his previously released music, some of which has been used as evidence. Think about that. So he's got to stay out of ATL. He goes back on tour. Can that be a violation if he performs old music, some of it used as evidence in case? You know what I mean? Think about that. Like, to me, this more and more just seems like a setup. If they really want to bust his balls and lock Thugger back up, it could all just be a play, right? Mr. Williams could be seen as violating the condition that he not use any hand sign, terminology, or language that promotes or represents any criminal street gang directly or indirectly. At trial, his trademark subject matter and go-to slang like slat and slime were repeatedly linked to gang culture. So he can't say slime no more or slat. He can't post that on social network. He can't perform any of these old songs. That's what I'm saying. It's all so vague. Like, it's almost in a sense like with the stipulations of this plea, as like I said, it already was like, why'd you do this, Thugger? Why'd you plea out? We see the stipulations, but you're hearing like people look at this case that like a Yale professor or whatever, someone in criminology, attorneys, different people involved in the legal system saying this is some whole other ish for someone to get probation in this kind of case and have these stipulations. It's so vague. Like, anything could be really interpreted as a violation in any way. It's like Young Thug has to be another person for 15 years. You know what I mean? And with that being said, there was this, who is it? Kevin Adams, another lawyer for Jeffrey. He said his client has got to be careful. There are clearly some lyrics in previous songs that make reference to YSL, and I think he's going to have to be a bit more careful about what he does in regards to that. You know what I mean? We already seen him chilling with the tipster, and like I said, that shit seems so crazy to me. Like, is this going to be Tipster 2.0 with the anti-gang stuff? Like how T.I. did those commercials. Is Thug going to have to make music like that? You know what I mean? And then again, we don't know if he can perform any of this old music. We don't know if he can rock. Maybe they'll tell him he can't even rock the color red. Like, who knows, man? It's so vague. And it's kind of like, in a sense, they got him by the balls, pause, if they really want to lock him up. And, he says the vagueness of the rules could prove challenging. This is another professor of law and criminality at California State University, Long Beach. This guy strictly focuses on parole and probation. And he says, like, the vagueness could just be challenging, So it's like, it's spooky for Thugger right now, man. And for everyone like myself who was shocked and just said, man, 15 years probation, 20 behind the wall. Like, this is some wild ish. And this quote from this professor, he said, if you're describing your criminal lifestyle as a street gang member in the past, that's different than promoting it, right? Is he allowed to describe that life? Does that amount to promotion? He can't comply with these conditions unless he knows what is or is not allowable. And that's what they're saying is all this vagueness, all this stuff open to interpretation. Are they going to try to set him up Like he's going to have to sit down with attorneys and really hash it out with the probation officers, because he says that these kind of questions eventually, if Thugger keeps his nose clean, they can, ask for probation modifications, right? Wherein that might create a situation where it's going to be nearly impossible for him to comply with all these rules for 15 years if they don't get clarification and maybe modify some of this stuff. Like this could really just be a flat out setup for Thugger. And it's spooky, man. More and more. I wonder if Thug is kicking himself in the ass with taking this plea deal. Like you came that far, but ultimately it sounds like him and his attorney, like you heard the attorney said, we wanted the jury verdict, but this ish was just taking forever. But I just felt like there were one more fluck up from the court away of getting that mistrial that, let's be honest, should have already happened. And, they go on to talk about, BG, how earlier in the year, as he's on federal paper, and he did 10 years behind the wall, right? In negotiating the terms of his supervised release, prosecutors argued that BG's recent songs included lyrics glorifying murder, drug dealing, and threatening those who cooperate with the police. And they were saying that the conduct that led to the defendant's imprisonment, and they tried to ban him from promoting such behavior. And if you remember, they told him like, hey, you performed in Vegas. You can't do that. You know what I mean? And he ended up beating the case. Same thing, 6ix9ine's locked up right now. Fuck that rat. But it's just like this same thing too with this being banned from Metro Atlanta. Like if he accidentally crosses the border into ATL, can that just be a violation? Like more and more the way as I'm looking at this and all these professors and lawyers and just everyone is really looking at this Young Thug sentencing and these stipulations in the case, and they're just saying, man, this guy's got to be careful and he's got to do it for 15 years. Like, I don't know, could it be a setup? What do you think about it? Hit the comments. Like, real talk, it seems wild spooky to me off rip, but when I'm seeing all these specialists talk about it, again, professors, lawyers, ex-judges, everyone, like, yo, this is some different type of ish right here. It really is like could scream set up, man. So that's all I got on this one. Hit the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Thugger, Eminem, AI, probation. Let's talk about it all in the comments. Peace and God bless. And I'm up out of here, y'all.